You can put me on the main screen.
Yes, Raghuramji, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Can you put?
Yeah, it is on speaker mode, speaker view. You can start.
Yeah. Can you put me on? Oh, okay. It's on speaker mode. I'm on the main screen, right?
Yes, Raghuramji.
Okay. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. One of the important features of intellect is one of the most important features of the intellect is that we are always on the mode of either one or the other. We would like to choose one against the other, and that too very strong that we are on one, very strong we go on to the other side. It is a tendency of the human mind guided by the intellect. Either it should be good or it is bad. It is okay or it is not okay. So this is what we try to continuously do it, and then more strongly intellectually trained, develop, more strongly we hold on to this particular concept of right and wrong, good and bad, accept or reject, kind of a thing, very strong about that. We don't think of anything what is called as the middle path. That's why Buddha has given us what is called as the middle path, because he wanted that the disciples or the students should not get into this kind of a thing. Like, for example, when they say that something is bad, immediately we reject, totally reject in such a way that we don't even want to see that ready in front of us. We really hate it. We go to the other extreme called as hatred. We say that, look, excessive eating is bad, it's non-spiritual. Immediately people go to excessive fasting. That becomes really very strong. Similarly, when we say that sleep is bad, sleep is one of the problems. Therefore, that in fact, sleep is tamas. And the way people present this idea of tamas is also so strong. Tamas is bad, horrible, and compare all those things with such a way that you are rejected the tamas. So sleep. So therefore, you go to the other extreme that you don't sleep at all, and how to see not to sleep. All these things are given. In fact, I see this kind of a reaction in the Prashanti many times. What happens is that they come very enthusiastically to do sadhana. Of course, these days more of therapy, but earlier days, people always used to come for sadhana. And then sadhakas have a view that, look, you have to do meditation and then you should sleep less and all kinds of things. So, but then they get up in the morning and the program is there extended right up to 10 o'clock in the night without any break in between. So they are continuously doing one or the other. And after that, couple of days later, then you start falling asleep. And see that, look, I'm very lazy and I like this. I need to conquer the laziness, the tamas. And therefore, that what they do is that they try to um, get up early in the morning at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock and then sit for meditation, do something like that. They feel sleepy and then they come to one of the senior sadhakas, supposed to be senior sadhakas there, and ask for an advice. They said that, look, one thing, get up in the morning and take cold water bath so that you don't fall asleep. Now that fellow also takes cold water bath. Imagine what will happen to him when he takes so early morning, 4 o'clock cold water bath, sits for meditation and all that. Then later on, the yogasana session will be there. You are deprived the sleep. So therefore, naturally, what happens is that when you are doing yogasana class and then at the end of it, that when you have the shavasana, the sleep is very kind to you. So therefore, the sleep will occupy your time at the shavasana time, DRT time, and then everybody gets up, everybody hears instruction, but you have not heard, you have not got up. So naturally, somebody has to wake you up. Somebody has to really shake you so that you wake up and you feel guilty about it. See, everybody got up, I didn't get up. What kind of sadhaka I am? Then somebody says that, look, don't do meditation in the morning, go for a jogging in the morning. And everybody is sitting for meditation, you go for jogging. And now you do the jogging and everything, you see that morning sleep you avoid. Then you come to the class, the lecture is going on. That's a good time that sleep god wants to really save you. So therefore that it occupies. Now you can't hear anything, you are sleepy, and then the teacher looks at you, feel guilty about it. Ask what to do. Then some researcher, because PhD students, they do all kinds of research. He says that the research shows that excess food gives you excess sleep. So cut down your food. Now the food is the next casualty. You feel hungry, but you don't take food because you don't fall asleep. So like this continues for about a week. Because that you are fasting. You sit down for meditation. You don't get sleep because that stomach is not full. But then somebody gives instruction, close your eyes, imagine the beautiful picture of Omkara. You close your eyes, you only can imagine nice, wonderful puri in the kitchen. So therefore, you think of puri, where is the question of Om? Naturally, idea comes that, look, I became really very worldly. I think of puri, I think of food. Why all these things happen? Because that you have gone from one extreme to another extreme in the name of sadhana. A lot of people do this, that they go from one extreme to another extreme. But what real sadhana is not the extremes, but be in the middle, in the center. It's not hating the rejecting, but what is happening is that you are trying to balance yourself in such a way that these things do not touch you. It does not mean that you run away from the object outside, because some people are there, they run away from the object in such a way that the moment that idea of an object comes into the picture, they become almost like allergic to the whole thing. I know there was one senior person who was an engineer working somewhere, and then I was a very young, small little boy at that time. And then I used to interact with him. Later on, I came to know that. And at that time itself, we know that he's going to become a sannyasi. So therefore, and where he would go, I happened to go there. Suddenly I saw him. It was almost like 20 years later, I'm seeing him. I recognized his feature and came to know, oh yeah, he's the one who has used that sannyasi. So I went to him, and with all that humility, I touched his feet and all that, and then asked Swamiji, I think you are the same person earlier by this name. When I asked that question, he became so angry. He became so upset about that. And he shouted at me saying that, don't remind me of my Purvashma name. I'm not that anymore. I said, what is there to hate about it? What's there to dislike about it? So you develop that disliking at the whole world outside. You become hatred. That means you go to the other extreme. I said that at least, you are much more peaceful when you are engineer. Now, after taking sannyasa, I see that you are angry, you are upset, you are disturbed. And the ego of the sannyasa is mounted on you. So there are a number of such examples are there, supposed to be so-called spiritual people, but then there is so much of rejection of the world outside. So, and of all the persons, I don't think Shankaracharya can have any idea of rejection of the world outside when he talks about these things. There's one such example that we have is about Ramtirtha. Swami Ramtirtha, he took the sannyasa early. In fact, before even took the sannyasa, he was married. So his wife was there, and then he left the wife, and then became a good sannyasin, went to USA, and all those things happened. And he had his student, excuse me, his name is Puran Singh. Puran Singh was always with him. And then they were sitting in a room, and he was from Lahore, presently in Karachi, from in Pakistan. And he was writing something of the book or something like that he was editing, and looked through the window, and suddenly his ex-wife, who he gave, she was coming in that direction. And he got up and then closed the window. Puran Singh said, why did you close the window? Because the light is not enough in the room. Open it. No, no, nothing. But then why did you close the window? I said, there's nothing. No, there cannot be nothing. You cannot close the window otherwise. Then Puran Singh got up and looked through the window, and he saw that Ramtirtha's wife was coming in the opposite direction. See, your wife is coming, that's why you closed the window. I said, no, she is no more my wife. He said, she's not no more your wife, because basically that she is there in your mind. If many other women go in this road, and then you never close the window. And you know very well, closing the window, that you will be actually arresting the light to come in. By closing the window, that you stop this. And that too, you closed it because that your wife is coming. Ramtirtha realized that. He said that, look, I became only sannyasi, external form, but not really inside that. There's no rejection at all. That's what you can see in Swami Vivekananda. He took the sannyasa, he went to the West, and he became famous and all that. When he came back, he went for resting in Shimla or Darjeeling, someplace, one of this. And then he was walking up the hill, and then there was a person who was coming in the opposite direction. While he was coming in the opposite direction, he looked at the Swamiji and said, immediately, sir, and said, Pranam Swamiji. Usually, like anybody, and Swamiji also did the pranam in response to it. But then he was, he looked back, he just stopped that man. He said, hey, who are you? And he said his name, something like that. And then Vivekananda said immediately, hey, you are so and so, isn't it? I said, yeah. Arey, we were classmates, and what is this? We are saying namaste, namaskar, and pram, and this and that, and all that. I said, but now you are Swamiji. Swamiji said, now you are a big man, Swamiji. Swamiji laughed and said, look, I'm your Bile. His earlier childhood name was Bile. People used to remember him as Bile. He said, look, whatever might happen, I'm your Bile. None of these things touch between us. I like you very much. So both of them, they sat together, had a cup of chai together. See, that means to say that becoming a sannyasin, becoming popular and all that, did not become a different thing from him. So therefore, what happens is, people reject, people accept. Grahona Tanotsargaha Yoga Vasishtha says, neither grabbing in that nor rejecting that. Both these things should not be there. And that's what is the state of samadhi, samadhana sthiti. And that's exactly what Shankara also, when he said that all these things, idea is not to reject the world outside. It is to see that how world has its own value. The only thing is it has only its very, very limited value. Tiny limited value that is there. But what is there in front of you is something which is extraordinary, what you are. In fact, tiny little value, because what happens is that out of the whole Brahmanda that is there, out of the whole consciousness that is there, A small little tiny speck has become you, and you boundaried it. So your boundary is artificially created by a small little thing that is there for some purpose or the other. And that purpose you continue to do it. Don't reject that purpose. It does not mean that you are something, uh, Brahman is something different and you are something different, and Brahman is something which has to be accepted and you are something to be rejected, the world to be rejected. This is not the way that Shankara means. So he is talking to the people. Basically, what idea is that this small little world that we have becomes our ego. And because that it becomes ego, that we cannot perceive the large expansiveness, which is a part of that. It is such a beautiful thing that is there in front of you, such a whole thing that is there, but we are only looking at one particular small little part of it. And that's what is the narrowness. To give up that narrowness, Shankara says, gives that idea that all these things are narrow. Come on, give up this narrow feeling of these things. For that he said, but it is not for the sake of rejection of the world that he talks about it. It has its own purpose, it has its own service that it has to do. So therefore, that Shankara, when he gives, and also that of all these things, what is the limited thing that we have accepted as a boundaried thing is this time. The time is small little boundary that we created out of the vast time that is there. That's why somebody said very beautifully, saying that where you are standing, there are millions of bodies have already been buried there, and you are standing on that. For billion years, that so many people died, and that is there, and that has become the earth. They become part of the earth, and on that you are standing. And that gives an indication that tomorrow you will also be gone, and then like that the world continues to go on. So therefore, this is such a small little simple thing. That's why Shankaracharya gives the idea. The life that we are living is like the way that the bubble that is there at the bubble of water that is there, dew drop that is there, which is there at the tip of the leaf that is there. Nalini dalagatam atichaya chapalam. It is so this short-lived. It is so tiny, so short-lived. And out of how many dew drops that fall on the particular tree and around there, with one particular drop gets caught up on that tip of the leaf. It's fortunate. It's like that. This is what we say that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyaram Sahasreshu Kashchitasudayet. That means to say, out of millions of people, one becomes human. He goes in this particular direction. In fact, even if you go to prior to that, out of 80 million species that are there, that you are so fortunate to be born as a human being. You are just one tiny little thing that you are born out of this consciousness, which can be millions and zillions as kind of thing. And so therefore that how tiny it is, and then it gives such a small little time. Any small little stroke can drop that particular water, and then it is not there anymore. But then that's how it is. That's what is the reality. So time is the tiniest thing, is the beginning of the thing that we have come here with. And that time is also ticking. That's what is our idea, basically, in this creation. So further he says that the next thing that we have, like the way that life is given to us, we need various objects. And then for the sake of objects, that we need money, we need the riches, so that we try to work with that. And that's a need of everybody, not only you or me or anything. It is everybody's need is for that. But it's only for the sake of that local purpose that we take care of it. But nothing beyond that. So, but we accrue. We try to become so attached to that. That's what he says, that yavad vitto parjana saktaha tavat nijaparivaro raktaha paschat jivati jajjara dehe varta kopina pruchati gehe bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudhamate. The fifth sloka, he says that now this is with the uparjana. That means to say that we have power. We have very important thing is to see that we should in this world we cannot become a parasite. Look at the whole creation. Nothing is a parasite in this creation. When you look at this, the moment they are born, they become self-dependent right from the beginning. Look at the way that I was talking earlier about this um, turtles. They leave the eggs in the sand and then go away. Mother goes away, and the little turtle comes out, baby turtle comes out, finds its way, finds its water, finds its shelter, finds its everything, and then so they can survive right from the moment that they are in the at the time when they are in the shell itself. They are already independent of themselves. The birds become independent after about few weeks. The mother feeds the bird, mother bird feeds the bird. But the moment the wings develop, the bird starts becoming on their own. And then actually the mother teaches that the birds to fly, pushes the bird to get out from the cage, from the nest, so that the bird starts fluttering the wings and learns to fly. The same way that when the little calf is born, immediately the mother carries the heavy protein food so that the calf should be nurtured. At that point of time, the calf takes only one or two drops of milk, not more than that from the mother, but that should nourish. But then slowly what happens? The moment that the little calf develops teeth, and then mother feels the udders that the teeth is biting. So therefore, recognize this is the time that the child has to become independent, starts kicking the child. Mother kicks the child so that the child should go out and eat the tender grass and then start developing on their own. Look at the way everywhere that in the nature that right from the birth beginning that they start developing their own faculties to see that they can find out what they're living. Even the human child is also like that. That's what some experiment has shown that the little baby taken out of the mother's womb and cleared the placenta and kept it on the mother's tummy, the baby crawls towards where the breast mother milk is there because the food is kept there. When this is the way it is, but look at the way how long that we depend on the world outside. So don't become parasite that you learn, you earn your living and you live. When the whole nature is like that, why do you have to become a parasite? Somebody has to earn for you. The parents have to earn for you. So some people are there that they are parasite for 60, 70, 80 years, still that they are looking at their uh, this thing from the world outside. The others have to feed them. So that is the reason why that we need to have. The idea is that with the money is something which is necessary, and Arjuna, that means to say the earning capacity is there within us. So we are born with that Arjuna capacity within us. In fact, that's why we have such a beautiful mantra that is there, which is one of the Taraka mantras, which says that Dhiyo yona prachodayat. Don't give me anything. Give me that intellect so that I can earn for myself. So, Bhurbhuvat Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam, all the gods and goddesses, Savitur Devatas and all that Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya, all these Devatas, Dhimahi Yo Yona Prachodayat. Try to give me that intellect so that I can earn myself, I can be on my own. So essentially, the whole approach is to see that we try to earn money, we have an ability to see that we do. But then what happens is that when there are always in the society the people who would like to become parasites, in spite of the fact that no man is supposed to be the most intelligent creation of the earth, and then this intelligence that what he uses for is to see that how he can fleece others, how he can become dependent on the others. And that's what happens if this person is not taking care of him, then go for somebody else, somebody else. So lifelong that you become parasite. Such people are there in the society. That's what is the unfortunate thing about the whole thing. Don't ever feel that they are close to you, they are near to you. That's what Shankara says. Yavad vitto parjana shaktaha, tavat nijaparivaro raktaha. Then they are They are there necessary, they are there with you because basically that you have the money and you are able to earn money and give that money. And we have together with that, in order to substantiate the idea first, we have created all kinds of things to say that you have to do the charity, take care of them, it's your responsibility, duty, blah, 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 all kinds of things. Where, there's no connection, but you still feel that it's your responsibility to take care of somebody. Forget about it. They're all there with you. As long as that you have the earning power, you have the earning ability, then they will be with you. Yavad vitto parjana sakta tavat nija parivaro rakta. Paschat jivati jajharatehe. But the very nature of this particular body, deha, is to see that it jarjhara, it jirna, it becomes, it slowly loses its ability. Yes, that's what its nature. In fact, these are the 5 different stages in the body that is there. First thing is that, jayate, then vardhate, then uparamate, then apakshiyate, then mriyate. That means say slowly goes to the death. So when at that point of time, when there is no more ability to earn, at that point of time, naturally, tavad paschat jivati jarjaratehe. And the life is going to that stage where it is downsize, it's down slope that it is going, and varta and jadjaradehe, the body loses its ability. All those things that you have done slowly become useless at that point of time, and then varta kopena puchatigehe. So who will go? Who will ask you? Puchatigehe. So such a person in the house, that who will care for you, who will ask for you. Gehe, that means gruha. So therefore, when you come to live with old, infirm body, no one at home cares, speaks even a word for you, with you. You have seen that. When the person becomes old, people don't even care for him, don't even try to do what small little simple things you are supposed to do. Even that they are made be able to do. Do you think that they are your own? And at that point of time, what happens is that it becomes much more painful, because you see that earlier I had done it. I had done all those things for them, basically to see that I have money, I have capacity to do it. I did it all that. And then while doing that, I get the joy, even including my ego boost at that point of time, that people think that I'm a great fellow. I've done so many things, all that is there. So I earned by doing all those things already, period. Now don't expect anything. But we do all those things, but we mount our expectations behind it. So that other person is to do for me. They have to take care of me. They have to live for me. So therefore, that they do not come to me because now I don't have an ability to do what I was doing it earlier, and they were getting benefited by that. So in this process, what happens is that when the body cannot function at that point of time, who are supposed to be my own people, who have taken advantage of me, they go away, they go far away, and they don't help me anymore. But then what is that helps them? What is that helps you? What do we do? This is the way world is. If world is this way, what is the solution for that? If there is no solution, then there is no point in discussing about these things. If there is no solution, there is no point in discussing about these things. The only solution at this point of time is that in this body where the journey of going downside, that is leaving the body, stage comes, when we know very well right from the beginning that is one thing which is really going to go down, this body. Few days it is there, and then afterwards it will go down. And that's not in your hand how long you will be there. There are some lucky people are there that they were very feel fit and hale and healthy, and suddenly one day that they leave. So that nobody has to do for anything, nobody has to hang around that. But then it is not the same thing story for everybody. Because sometimes it might become like you are dragged through the whole process. Every day becomes like a big burden on you. Somebody or the other has to take care of it. Somebody near and dear has to take care of it. So therefore, what happens is that when this body is going downside, then at that point, when we become dependent. We become dependent on the others, and we cannot be there. But in this body, which anyway, which has to go like that, not only the body, even mind, everything goes down like that. In this whole thing, there is something which is not going downside like that, which is not become death is the problem for death is the way nature it is. Whatever that is dying outside, behind that there is something which is an undying principle that's there within us. That undying principle is what we are. Like for example, as a child that we were, as an adult we are. So therefore, this I continues as before, and that I is supposed to be the consciousness. The I is supposed to be the divinity that's there within us. So therefore, what happens is that we have within us that portion which does not die. Yeah, body is like the way, as Krishna puts in Bhagavad Gita, Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya. Like the way the cloth that we wear, one day or the other, this cloth is going to get over, and then you throw it away and then get the new cloth. And the life is like that. What Shankaracharya says is that you are there behind it, and that this body is something which comes and goes. And then when the body goes, then you don't have to repent of it, because you'll come back. Not only you, everybody comes back. The new life, new body. Journey continues. But what is very important is to see that the pain of going away should not happen to us. Therefore, that we should hold on to something at that point of time which does not go away. And that's what is consciousness. That's what is divinity. That's what is the way that you recognize. The more and more that you recognize that aspect within you, and the more and more that you can see that aspect in the world outside. The outside world looks that they are also Brahman, they also have the same thing. So therefore, what happens is that this particular aspect is something which is very. If I realize that I am that Brahman, I am that Atman, I am an imperishable, then within that, then I look at the world also like that. Then there may be somebody, there are some people in the world who recognize that aspect of it. Because my living, my being, my talking, my message, everything is that. So therefore, that's what they also carry with them. And such people are the people who will take care of you. So therefore, in the beginning, that when don't get involved in the body, but at that point of time, recognize about the divinity that's there within us, consciousness which is there within us, and that recognizing this conscious within us is what is called as Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam. It's not singing, but it is basically recognizing the divinity, consciousness within us, and the same consciousness is there in the world outside, in everybody. And that is what we really recognize that aspect of it. So this recognizing that aspect of it, that we have the divinity within us, he is the one which keeps us going, and that's what is Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudhamate. Here also he says Mudhamate. The idea is basically that this is there in our experience. This there we see that there is something which is going to be, which is not undergoing this change. It's not part of this change. But then, in spite of the fact, we see that, in spite of the fact we recognize that, still that we don't hold on to that. That's why he calls it as Mudhamate. When he says Mudhamate, as I said earlier, he's not talking about the people who are uneducated, illiterate. He's talking about people who are philosophers, who understand lot, understand everything. But that understanding is only at the intellectual level, but not the percolate into physiology. That's the reason why Shankara cautions them. Yavad vitto parjana, yavad pavanati, yavad pavano nivasati dehe, tavat pruchati kushalam dehe, gatavati vayo deha paye, bharya vibhyati tasmin kaye. These are the two aspects that are there. One is called as the consciousness becomes, one is a chitta and the other is the prana. Chitta is the one where the internal activity is going on. Prana is the one where the external activity is going on. Chitta is where thinking, analyzing, and all those things that are there, which is the chitta activities. And then prana activities is what these respiration, heartbeat, and all these things that are going on. Memory, intellect, perception, these are not separate things. They're all one called as chitta, or it is called as the chitta sthiti. It's all there in that. But based on different type of activities, you get different names for that. That same inner activity is the form of memory. We call it as memory. It holds the material. Whereas same inner activity is in the form of analysis, good and bad, right and wrong. That we call it as intellect. And that inner activity where everything is stored and comes out and works with that, that's what chitta and chit and then ahankara is that one who works with all those things. That I, that asmita is what is this. So therefore, all these things are there itself, but only thing is different type of activities with different names. The same way prana also, that various activities are going on. But then of all these activities that are going on, type of activities that they do it, we have named it prana, pana, dhyana, vidana, samana. So all these things are there to see that they maintain that your structure. And that is what in the form of pavana. Pavana is the wind, but wind is the external manifestation outside. But internal, similar activity that goes on is supposed to be the wind aspect within us, the pavana aspect of it. Yavat pavano nivasati dehe. When there is so much of power within us, it is in the form of either breathing, respiration, or the activity. Tavat pruchati kushalam dehe. Then people ask you that, how are you? How is this going on? All those things can be answered because basically that you experience and also you explain. So as long as that there dwells this breath, that's what is life. And in the body, so long they inquire into your welfare at home. But then the moment the time has come when this has to leave, and at that point of time, Gatavati Vayo Deha Paye. That means now it is not there anymore in this body. It just quenches, it just dissolves. At the moment, Bharya Vibhiti Tasmin Kaye. The connection with the Bharya, connection with the wife, he takes the extreme level because the connection between the body, man and a woman in the form of husband and wife is the deepermost connection that we feel, most enduring connection, most deeply connected with the body level, and that connection that he recollects about that. That means to say for the bharya, for the wife, basically, the physical body is something so important, so necessary. But even such a person who is so much caught up in this physical body that was there, the moment that life goes away from this, bhavya vikhyati tasmin kaya, she is also afraid of coming close to that. In fact, that's the reason why, because that there is a fear created associated with that. There is no more body, there is no more individual, only body is there decaying. So naturally, it creates fear for them. And not only in the human being, every creature it is the same thing that is there. Everywhere it is like that. So therefore, essentially in the case of human being, bharya vibhyati tasmin kaye, extreme taste that he takes, and this body goes away. But then you are not going away. You are the consciousness, you continue. And that you continue is the one Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Murhamate. Yes, repeat for when this is going on at that point of time, you are anyway not body. In fact, a very simple idea shows that how much you can free yourself from the body, free yourself from the prana. Once you identify yourself with that pranava, omkara that's there inside, followed by the silence of the omkara, when you come to that dot, it is that moment where you're free from everything world outside. And Body is not important. In such cases, the Bharya does not run away from that particular body. Very important that Bharya stays with that. Not only stays with that, the moment that he is gone away, leaving this body, for him, this body is no more important for him. For her also, the body becomes unimportant. She leaves. I was giving some example, I don't know, in this class or some other class I was giving. A famous scientist of yesteryears, 1967, and he was there going by the flight Kanishka, and then he was killed. He died because of the terrorists. And the news came, those days all these TVs are not there. So therefore, newspaper gives the news. But then after another day or so, the messenger comes from the highest level of government level, bringing the news that he died. He goes to his wife and tells his wife, saying that, look, the husband is no more. He died in the Kanishka fire. The moment she heard that, at once she became silent. He didn't understand why she became so silent. But later on, they examined that very moment that she leaves, he left. She left the body. I don't need any more this body. That is the connection, the soul connection. That's why wherever soul goes, I go with that. I don't care for this body. Rare cases like that. But the rest of the things where the body is moved to the cremation ground and it's passing through the cremation, Bharya, wife, will not like to share that moment, be with that moment. I've seen people who are so attached to this body and this. Even while talking, we say that example that I die tomorrow. Finish. They just don't talk about death. No tomorrow, no nothing. Nothing. See, they're so much afraid of it. Bharya Vicheti Tasman Kaye. No wonder why the wife is disliking that particular structure. Because basically that if you are consciousness, you would have left the impression of consciousness in the world outside. Yavat pavano nivasiti dehe, tavat prichati kushalam dehe, gatavati vayo, deha paye, bharya bhikkhati, tasmin kaye. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Modamate. बालस्तावत् क्रीडासक्तः तरुणी तावत् तरुणी रक्तः वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तामग्नः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न शक्तः. So long as one is in the boyhood, the childhood, one is attached to the play, क्रीडासक्तः. There is so much attachment and interest in the play. So long as one is in youth, taruni tavat, one is attached to one's own young woman, taruni raktaha, passion. Similarly, as long as one is in the old age, one is attached to anxiety. So, vruddhastavat chinta magnaha, chinta, anxiety. And yet, no one allows to the Supreme Lord is ever seen attached. There's no attachment to the Supreme Lord. All these stages that we go through this life, but each stage that we are caught up so many things at that level, we always try to postpone it. We always try to postpone our journey towards spirituality, journey towards God, Almighty, that we go later on. Anyway, time is there enough. In fact, Hindus that way are very generous. They gain you time, life after life after life. If not in this life, next life. Very easily people postpone it. Whatever that I need to enjoy this life, I'll do it. So that next life, I will go in my sadhana. Who guarantees you the next life? Who says that you'll be born here, you'll be born there? You'll be born in a company where it is possible. Now you have it. Now you have that kind of company, the people around. Now you are not taking advantage of it, and you want God to give you that kind of an atmosphere. How absurd it is to think of it that we are becoming slaves. So therefore, that this change and this change is there right in front of us. Balastavat Krida Sakta. Change not only in the physiology, psychology, but change in the way that we interact in the world outside. What's important in the world outside. So at the childhood level, the child's only day is nothing but play, play, play. And that's why these days that there are so many plays that they have developed so that the children's learning process goes on while play. Yes, that's what is Shankaracharya meant. Instead, your learning process always should be like a play because you are a child. Balastavat krida saktaha. Interest in the krida, interest in the work, that's where he brings it together. But then taruni tavat taruni raktaha. So the moment that you come to the middle age, into the young age, taruni saktaha. That means your interest is in the woman. Your interest is in the woman, so that is what is continuing your whole journey in the youthful days. You're worried about it, you're cautioned about it, you're careful about that. You go on, not only, in fact, in this point of time, it's not only you make your life miserable, you make others' life also miserable. At least as the Balastavati Krida Sakta, you play and then that's all. It doesn't mean that you are trying to create any problem. But at the youth, it is not like that. Youth is something where that not only that you lose your interest in the world, you make others lose also interest in the world. You spoil both. That's why Balastavat Krida Asakta, but much more important thing is Taruni Tavat Taruni Raktaha. So Taruni is Saktaha. So that means to say basically this childhood is something which is God given way that it is there. It's not a question of any attachment or anything. The child is like that. Whatever the child is there, child is like that. Child is born with innocence, child is with innocence. So that's how the whole creation takes place. Valastavat Krida Saktaha. He's just playing, play, nothing else beyond that. Whatever that you want to learn, whatever the values that you have to give, whatever the idea that you have to give them, you have to give them in the form of play. Then only that they can take it, because that's how the way that they approach the world outside. They approach the world outside only for the sake of play. They don't even have any idea of learning any knowledge. They would like to play with the whole thing. It's for the sake of entertainment that they got these things. Similarly, Tarunastavat Taruni Raktaha. The moment that you are youth and then you are attached to the youth, Taruni Saktaha, your interest is in the youth. That's why you are drifted. At least at that point of time of Shankara, running after women stopped at that level with Taruni Saktaha in the second quarter of life. But the third quarter of life, that's supposed to be the Vruddhash, the next level, and where it is supposed to be Chintamagna. Vruddhashtavat Chintamagna. You're constantly worried about and Parame Brahmani Kopinagiya. When do you have time to think of it? You don't have time. By the time you think that I will do it, a lot of people say that. Why are you starting spirituality at so early in age? Near 60, 70, you can take it up. And they can do a couple of projects and they can do all kinds of things. But at that point of time, you are not the same, you are not different. And another thing is that whatever that youthful energy, strength that is there, whatever that ability of power, actually that's what is very important thing is that in the case of a Balastavat Krida Saktaha, at the Bala level, at the child level, the most important thing is that the child is ready to absorb. A very beautiful thing the child has to absorb. And then memorize all those things are in the memory. You see that whatever the memory is there in the childhood, it stays there forever. It's always there with us. So therefore, that at that level, child level, it's the memory which is really very sharp. It's very good, very nice. As we cross that stage, we are supposed to cross that stage. Then we come to the next level, Tarunastavat Karani Saktaha. The important aspect of Taruna level, at the youth level, is your energy, your vision, your imagination. All these things are there. Actually, that is, and the whole blossoming of these things only that makes you to go towards a girl or the girl towards a boy. In fact, you look at that, the basic idea is supposed to see, can I create a nice, wonderful society, unit in the society? These are the things that are there which prompt us. Particularly those days, it was the most important thing. So Tarunas tavat Taruni Raktaha. That point of time, your interest is in the woman. But then at the same time, don't forget your basic idea of what you are born for. It is to see that you contribute something to the world, but then that itself has been sacrificed in that. Taruni Raktaha. Vruddhastavat Chintamagraha. The old age that people get caught up in the Vruddha level. But actually, many times I would think that this opposite sex idea will not come at the child level. The child does not have any big idea about that at all. But then the moment that the child becomes youth at that point of time, all that whatever that he was playing left behind, and now he is after the woman. So after the girl, and that becomes very important. Cultures where that there is a value for these things, they also see that these children, this uh, as they grow to the Taruni level, at that point of time, whatever that energies that are there is channeled in a proper way to see that what they can do it rather than just running behind it. But what happens at the old age is that here he says at least Dastapa Chintamagna, but the times have changed so much, the influence of the world outside is so much that even 70, 80, 100 years, people still think of women only. Think of only marriage, think of getting partner. This is what is an unfortunate thing that's going on. In spite of the fact that they have such experience that is there, life experience which is so horrible with the wife, but in spite of it, they still would like to go for that. One day I was in London and then somebody came to me and said so many things about what is the life, what is the way, and he was projecting himself to be such a great saintly person. His life is this, his life is that, in charity interest and this and that. Whole half an hour excess, like lecture about his greatness. He says that look with all these great ideas that I have, great wonderful things that I would like to take these ideas further. I was very happy. I said, yes, you should take these ideas further. At your age, at least you should jump into these activities so that you can do a lot of things. No, I'm not telling that. I'm telling this way that even though I have all these lofty ideas and all that, my wife does not approve any one idea that. She doesn't become like my companion at all. He doesn't fit in as my companion. Oh, now he comes to the point, which I thought that it was not there, but then that's what he says. And then he gave me that idea that, oh, she's like this, she's like that, all that he said. After that, he came to the point. So she lives in India, I'm living in London, so that we don't fight on all these things. Whatever that I can do it. Wow. But after all, at that age, you should not leave her, you should be with her. So, no, there are people there to take care of her. Her sisters are there, brothers, this and that. And then he comes to the point saying that I like somebody here. I thought that I will get married here. My God, you are already 65, 70, and then you want to get married once again. What happened to all those things? What is that? Is it simply that you have gone away? That's why I remembered Shankara was wrong, saying that Vruddhastavat Chinta Magna. And maybe the Chinta, it may be Chinta for remarriage, Chinta for another girl, Chinta for another life. And then now, next half an hour, he was praising this lady, how great this lady is. I told him that, look, today she is so great, but the moment that you get married, all the greatness will go away. Therefore, leave her alone. She's very great in your mind that you have it, but then just don't go to marry her. That means to say, even at the Vruddha level, Vruddhastavat Chinta Magnaha, and the Chinta, all these things are about what? About the world outside. Anything that is there about the world. Chinta is created by the world outside. Chinta is always about the Phalashruti. What is that you are expecting? What is that you are going to get? This is what is the Chinta about. Chinta is not anything else. In fact, whatever that is mind can do, whatever the intellect can do, powered by the intellect, whatever that is there from them, and all these things are about the memory. The present does not have anything to do with the memory. Memory is all past. And then this, whatever that past memory that is there, we try to improve it and an improved version of it that we have in the future. The future is nothing but the improved version of the past. What else can be there? I was something different in the past, and then in the future, and in my future, it is nothing but an improved version. And that future improved version will come to your dreams. Will occupy you all the time. You are always in the future. So therefore, basically, that past is something which is already dead and gone, finished, and then that has not given you satisfaction. Therefore, that you curse, you become negative. You become positive about the future. People are very positive about the future. What is that future? The improved version of past. It has nothing beyond that. So either way that you are either in the past or in the future, but you are not in the present. The present you are missing. And being in the present, Chinta Magnaha is where that your mind is engaged in the thinking activity, intellectual activity, and intellect shows you so many things, and then you follow by that. That's what is Chinta activity. Whereas when past and present is gone, you're just established in the present, past and future is gone. Then you are established in the present, be in the present. And when you are in the present, when can you be in the present is when you start really being the present to be like appreciation. That means it's something wonderful that you can live, what you appreciate, you can live. The present is something which is like a God's given gift for you, and that's what you are. And the moment that you think and being in the present with a joyful state that I'm so glad that I am now. And what is that glad thing about? Is to see that I'm really thankful to God who has given me all these things, whether I deserve or not. When I look at the whole list of things, there's so many things that happened. I don't know whether I really deserve all those things or not. First thing is that being born as a human being and being given this environment, being given this company, being given all these things that are there in front of me. Today, what I am is because of His grace. Being thankful to that. This idea of being thankful to the God, being joyful, and that state is what is called as Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modhamate. Whole Shankara's idea is to see that how it is not to see that all the other things are there. Yes, they were there. They are the features of the childhood days. They are the features of the adult old age. But in the process, what happens is that whatever that happens, you have to be in the present at your age that he's given. And for whom he is giving all these things? For a person who has already had this experience. Therefore, it is for the intellectual that Shankara is giving this idea. Come on, don't stop at the intellect level. Go beyond that intellect into the heart level. Feel that. Bhaja Govindam. Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha Samsaroya Atiha Vichitraha Kasyatvam Kaha Kutayataha Tattvam Chintaya Tadahi Bhrataha. Kate Kanta Kaste Putra. This is a very often quoted shloka from the Muhammad Garar, the Shankaracharya's Bhaja Govindam. Said, who is your wife and who is your son? And supremely wonderful indeed are the samsara. Samsara ati vichitraha. For whom are you? Of whom are you? From where have you come to bother? Oh, brother, think of this truth here. This journey of life is like the way that you are traveling in a train. A co-passenger comes and sits with you. You become friends, you smile at him, that person smiles at you, smile at her, she smiles at you. And then we talk, we get attached to that. So easily that we get attached to it. There is many times what happens is that this is a very simple, benign kind of a feeling that is there. I always give that example that how easily that we become that's a spontaneous urge within us to see that we unite. Actually, that unite, body is separate, but consciousness is the one which creates that kind of a feeling of oneness. It is a consciousness which brings us together. Consciousness which brings us together. That's what it is. Like I give this hypothetical example. I'm sitting in the train and wanting to go to, say, Hyderabad, and then I was reading my book. And then another person comes and sits opposite to me in that same berth, keeps the luggage on top of it, and somebody came to the railway station to leave him. And then that person says that, as soon as you go to Hyderabad, give me a call. Probably this is those days when the cell phones were not there. He says, no, don't expect me to give call at exactly. This person is also going to Hyderabad all the way. Then you see, I didn't know, I'm not interested in it. I have no interest. But then look at the way that the other person said that as soon as you reach Hyderabad, give me a call. Oh, he's also going to Hyderabad. It already registered in my mind. Then he says that no, I'll go home and then I will call you. At least it takes about half an hour to go to Chikatpalli. Then he also lives in Chikatpalli. See, at once the reaction will be there. I don't see connection developed. I reach home and then I will give you a call and all that. Okay, all these things are over. Now the train is about to start. Meanwhile, that person goes in. Suddenly he looked at the water bottle empty. And then you want to show him actually that there is water outside and the kiosk is there. You can go and pick up the water. But then you say, why should I tell him? You see, the ego comes into the picture. I don't want to tell him. It's a clash that's going on within. We are not reading book anymore. And meanwhile, that fellow also sees that and then goes all the way to the shop to buy the water bottle. Oh yeah, without my telling, he found out there's water bottle there. And then meanwhile, as he was taking the water bottle, that there is a whistle that you hear. And the train started moving. Now you started looking at that fellow. Right? He has not come back. Train is moving, whether he heard the whistle or not. See, your whole mind is getting engaged, unnecessary. And then now the train picks up the speed, person is not there. You feel sad about it. And now you start looking, maybe they, at least I can drop that luggage somewhere at this place. Because he missed this luggage. Maybe there's some address written on top of it. We are thinking all those things, chinta. You don't have to do it. And the train stops at Cantonment railway station, and that fellow comes in. Because he got into some other compartment and got it. You feel relieved. Small little association for about 5, 6, 7 hours that you are there in between. How much that you get concerned about it? If somebody is like that, just a co-passenger like that, life is all full of co-passengers. But how much that we get attached to them? Wife is also like that. In this journey that she has come, and then you join together. Many times people say that, oh, that we are, and not only that, the friends also will join all those things and chorus and say that this is something which is marriage is made in heaven, heavenly couple. God blessed them specially to become. God blessed them only one simple reason is that both of them stay in the same apartment house. That's all the blessing. If they were staying in different apartment houses, then they would not have met, the marriage would not have taken place, God's plan would not have gone on. But then we give such a great importance to this. Laila and Majnu, they were great, wonderful, life for each other, but finally they didn't get married. That's a different issue. But then so much hype about this, the whole story, the movies are made out of it. But probably if that Laila was born in some different village, or Juno was born in a different village, or maybe Laila was born 40 years before he was born, then she would not have become his wife, she would have become his grandmother. But look at the way that how we create. We create easily that kind of a bondage. Fine. This bondage is very much necessary in the world outside to see that husband and wife are understand each other, live together wonderfully. They create such a wonderful unit in the society. The whole psychology is built to see that, emotion is built to see that they create such wonderful unit in the society. For that, this whole thing is created so that the offspring that comes with that kind of a positivity. That's why the putra has come. So kate kantra, kaste putra. Who is this my wife? Who is this child? They are not anybody. In fact, it is not the question of Shankara is not denouncing them. Lot of people, when they have commented on these things in a denounced way, they commented. It's not like that. In fact, if it were to be like that, marriage institution would not have been an extraordinary, wonderful institution in this world. We always give marriage such a great value for that. That's why we said that out of 16 different samskaras that we have, Shodasa samskara, marriage is supposed to be an extraordinary, wonderful samskara. That's why it has to be blessed by so many people. Elders welcome. We want all those things to happen. And we give the illustration of such great marriages throughout. So many things that take place in this. Why we have given such an importance to that? We are interested not in the man, but we are interested in the mankind. We want to create a mankind which is supposed to be illustrious, which is extraordinary. It's not a question of my wife or my child. The question is wife and the question of child. The wife that where are the husband and the wife and the child. Not only husband and wife and child, but they are given such an extraordinary, wonderful structure around this husband and wife and the child. Extraordinary, wonderful structure so that the society has such a unit, a family unit in such a way that family unit is something which is extraordinary, which leaves a mark in the nature in the society. Everybody will be able to talk about that kind of a society. That becomes like a role model for the whole um, society, a role model, not only for now, forever. Why do we remember about Rama's connection with Sita? They were also like any of us, got married to husband and wife and all that, and the parents were there, and the children were there. But then, what is the extraordinary message that Rama's life has given? Is that a marriage that is created as an illustrious family that created, and that for generations that they live. We have to see this aspect of it in the nature to see that it's not that whose wife, whose child, whose brother, whose father they are there. But can you become an ideal wife? Can you become an ideal husband? Ideal child, a role model brother, a role model father. Three mothers, they were their role model. Father, role model. This is what is the kind of thing that we give. So this whole thing is because that we created that kind of thing. If you don't understand that, if you don't take that way, kate kantaha, Kaste putra samsaroya matiya vichatra. It's a very strange thing. Strange thing in the sense that in the case of human being, it's like a strange thing. This kind of relationship is not there in the case of animals, in the case of other world. Even though there is no such a thing in the case of other species that is there, but still that feeling is there. That's why, such beautiful videos that are there. A chimpanzee recently as a gorilla, something like that. And then the child is dead. But then chimpanzee is so much in love with that child. Actually, what happened was a tiger killed that little child of chimpanzee. He's in grief. Immediately, that chimpanzee charged on the tiger, killed that tiger, and never unheard. And then adapted that little child tiger and started going. They became good friends. That connection is there. And what is that connection? The connection is one of love, one of respect for the species that is there. This is what is important. Kate and samsaro ativa vichitraha. The samsara is something that where we created this kind of relationship, this kind of all these things that are there. In fact, we are such a beautiful society, particularly in the ancient times in India, when we think of it. We have so many brothers and sisters relationship. We have festivals bringing together, festivals recognizing together, worshipping the elders, worshipping the teacher. Lot of these things that are there. When we look at it, what is all these things that are there? What is why did we create all this? Many times it feels like that. Ativa vichitraha. It's really very strange. So supremely wonderful indeed is the samsara. It's wonderful because that we created that kind of thing. I always quote that example in China. When I was giving a talk, I said, we have so much of love showered on us when we child grows up, right from the childhood. Parents love, brothers love, sisters love, etc., etc. When the translator, she just tapped me and said, Raghuramji, they don't understand what they are talking. I said, what do you mean by that? I said, in China, we don't have one child family, therefore, no brother and sister. So they don't experience what is called brothers love, sisters love. What an extraordinary, what an unfortunate thing that is. Whatever kind of situation that we created by our own calculation that we created. I'm glad that still in India, we have that kind of a relationship where we are together. So we have to have a value, the samsara mativa. It's a wonderful world that we have created. Though, look at the whole thing, like the way two people in the train when they meet, the kind of feeling that you have, you leave the book aside and think of that other person. It's so natural within us, so spontaneous within us. So that way that we have to have all these things. But at the same time, what happens is that we should always recognize that when your station comes, you get down, his station comes, he gets down. You might happen to do like that. So, Kasyatvam, where did you come from? Where do you go? We have to be recognized about that. We also go to the same Brahman. She also goes to the same Brahman. Everybody goes to the same Brahman. The child goes to the same Brahman. But what is the reason why they go? It is they have come here for their own karma and they go back to their own karma. Somebody is there sitting, taking on account of that. A child born from the mother's womb comes out and dies right away. But then who thought about it? What was the reason? It was this mother has to experience that child, or the child has to experience this mother. Some connection somewhere, and that fulfillment has taken place. It's in a larger perspective that happens, all these things. When we can surrender to this larger perspective, all these activities, what's happening in this life, that remembering constantly this larger perspective, remembering constantly that it is somebody else is designing all these things, somebody is managing all these things. That remembering is what is meant by Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modhamate. An extraordinary, wonderful insight Shankara gives us is If he were the way that some people feel that the samsara is something which is very bad or negative, if he did have that negative idea, he would not have written these things for the sake of human being. He would have simply said, this world is a maya, give up this maya, give up everything. We would have been only nihilists or negativists. He did not want to be like that. You cannot find more positive saint like Shankara. Look at Shankara from that positive angle. Thank you so much. We'll stop it here. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.